So, Ron's just been a shopping, and I've been sharecropping. So there's no stopping us talking. Hell's a poppin'. How's it going, Ron?
Hey! How long have you been practicing that?
Actually, literally between when I left for the toilet and I know it seems polished. Like I've been.
Yeah, it's like you've been working on that for.
Yeah, no. I just make it
at least 2 minutes.
I make it look that good. It was only 30 seconds.
All right.
So,
well, hello.
Welcome
the
back. Wood, the Magman Wood.
Magman Wood. My name is Ron Scott, and this is
the poet Clive Davis.
Oh.
And
he's a poet, and he does.
I do know it. Yeah, I'm well aware.
The rest of us don't know. Or don't know it.
No, and it's my life's work to convince you all.
Yes.
And one small step towards that was that awesome intro for the film we're talking today, which is another Gino Cuddy request stroke challenge.
Stroke challenge. I think that's a different movie. Stroke challenge.
Who's going to win, Ron or Clive?
I'm sure I'll lose that one.
Well, no, because then if we're going old public school system, you have to eat the digestive biscuit.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, do you know this?
Yeah.
This is an old public school thing, apparently, where
from
guys... From UK, apparently. You'd jerk off onto
a biscuit and you have to eat it.
The last person who comes would have to eat it, yeah.
Right.
I think that's in one of Stephen Fry's autobiographies. I think he mentions that. Yeah.
He had to eat it?
Can't remember. Stephen, if you're listening, I'm sure you are. You don't have anything to do.
I'm sure Stephen Fry does this, right?
Let us know. You can come on as a guest. I mean, we don't mind.
We'll let you.
Yeah. I know it seems like a high barrier.
Yeah, I know. But,
one day you can be as cool as us, Stephen, if you try.
All right, so anyway, Gino Cuddy most recently requested HELLZAPOPPIN.
HELLZAPOPPIN from 1941.
Tell us about HELLZAPOPPIN, Clive.
Oh, well, this is an interesting one. Had you seen HELLZAPOPPIN before, Ron?
Never.
Okay. I had seen this. It's interesting, actually. I think this was probably the first old film I'd seen, like vintage, because it's from 1941.
Right.
It was, black and white. It was the first film of a certain vintage that I saw, I don't know, when I was a teenager or something on television. And it was the first time I think you assume anarchy is something recent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You tend to think there's a certain kind of zany madcap thing. Oh, back in the day they didn't do that. Right?
Yeah.
So I think this was the first film I'd ever seen where I was like, fucking hell, they were doing some weird shit back in those days when you didn't expect. Yeah, so it's a universal picture. It's very, I suppose it's very meta, to say the least.
Right.
And I guess the framework, I suppose, is... Yep, that's me done.
Yeah,
you have a run at it, Ron.
Framework, great. Okay, wait. So it's a Olsen and Johnson picture. It's again back to the comedy duos.
Ole Olsen and Chick
Johnson.
Yeah,
and I guess they were another one of the many comedy duos back from the 30s and 40s.
I guess they're a vaudeville team and they'd been together, but they're not. Again, I suppose. Like Wheeler and Woolsey and Clacker McCullough, maybe somewhat fallen by the wayside in terms of fame, right? I mean, you don't often hear of people talking about Olsen and Johnson.
No, yeah. I don't think I've ever even heard of Olsen and Johnson. So.
No, it's weird. Actually, I mean, I didn't have time, unfortunately. If I'd have thought about it, I'd have watched these two films, because there's a follow-up as well. I would have watched, and then I would have maybe caught up with some more Olsen Johnson, because they're a bit of a enigma to me. I don't know. They did some other movies as well, but they. How could I put this? They don't seem like a comedy duo.
No, they don't. Yeah, they don't have like the the same, like the other Don comedy duos we've done, which were, remind me, what were their names?
Well, Wheeler and Woolsey, and Clark and
McCullough. Yeah, they seem to have like sort of like a rhythm or like a patter or a chemistry for the two of them. Like they were a pair. These two were almost like, I found them almost like forgettable. Like it was what was happening around them was much more interesting than them themselves. And I was couldn't even. They're so.
They're not funny.
They're not. Yeah, they're not funny, and they're also very like. I mean, the other ones have a certain look to them, right?
Yes.
They stand out, right?
Yes.
These two, they just look like every other person in the movie. Like, and I couldn't. It was like, which one are the Olsen and Johnson? They just look like exactly like everybody else. They're so like nondescript.
Yes.
That I was like,
they don't have a cultivated comedy persona. Like all the other ones. Like even if you'd never have heard of Wheeler and Woolsey or Clark and McCullough, as soon as you clapped eyes on them and you saw them, you can tell.
Oh, that's got to be them, right?
Yeah. Or they've been. You can tell they've been doing this in burlesque halls or whatever for years. They've been doing this.
They've got like a thing, right?
But these two almost seem like they were doing some other business.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Hey, should we make a comedy film?" Seem. The only thing identifiable is Chick Johnson has that laugh. Thing, which made me think of. Do you remember that old song "Wipeout" by the Safaris?
Oh yeah.
Wipeout. To the extent that I even went to check out if it wasn't like a sample of his voice or something, but it's not. But that's what it made me think of. Yeah. So Ollie Olsen and Chick Johnson. Yeah, they're the two. I don't know. Are they I suppose they're the stars.
So, I mean, it's about them, right? So, but I guess the other people were much more interesting. Like the other main sort of the cast member would be Martha Ray.
Yes,
who turns out is as being like the main comic lead.
Yes,
you've also got Hugh Herbert, Jane Frazee.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret Page, and a bunch of other old people. I don't know.
Well, mostly dead people, I think, at this point.
Almost 100% are dead. I always watch, whenever I watch these old movies, it makes me feel weird, because about halfway through I stop and I start to think, every single person involved with this movie in any way, shape, or form is dead now, right?
Especially if they were young women and they bumped into Wheeler and Woolsey, they all seem to get it pretty early.
But the cast and the crew, I'm almost like, maybe there's one person who's still like in their hundreds, you know what I mean? But
they'll do the Blu-ray commentary, right?
But it's like
where they don't remember anything.
99% or a full 100% of people are completely gone now, right? So no one remembers this. So it's a bit strange to think. But
well, it's interesting that you say that. But I mean, I didn't expect to talk about this, but it's interesting. You think about it, how relatively young cinema is, right? It's what is it now? 120, 25 years, something like that, right? And you're thinking it is quite a fascinating time for us who are kind of old enough to have enough of a history with cinema, but also young enough that it predates. So it's interesting if you think about if cinema continues, right? If cinema survives and it just keeps on going, then depending on how long we're around and we don't destroy ourselves, I'm wondering if there'll ever be a period of time where, let's say, like now, we look back at, let's say, the ancient Greeks, but that we could actually put on like a DVD, like of an ancient Greek play or something. I'm wondering if we'll ever reach that point of civilization where we'll have a recording from thousands of years ago. It's a kind of a mind-boggling concept. Imagine we could actually do that. That would kind of be extraordinary.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Welcome to your top philosophy podcast. The Magic Morning.
This movie was, as you said, it was mayhem. It was
pretty much from the get-go, right?
It was like havoc. It was just chaos.
Yeah.
And I kind of agreed with you. Took me totally by surprise. I was like, okay, here we go with another comedy duo. But it was not what I was expecting at all. And, I'm not even entirely sure what was happening.
No, still.
But it was, I guess it was based off of and they even refer to this in the movie that I guess was based off of a Broadway play.
It was, a long-running, 2 or 3 year play.
So which is a lot of like musical numbers and kind of comedy bits.
Yes.
And like kind of, and it seems like it's just sort of like a mishmash of just a bunch of stuff that they kind of threw together.
To be honest, that surprised me more. Like, as much as the movie surprised me, I can see it. It does work as a film. But I was trying to wonder: can you imagine trying to watch this on stage? Like, that seems like it would be, I don't know, tiresome or something. Like, is there anything?
I feel like it would work better
like
in
a review or something.
Yeah, like a live theater. It would feel like a review or like a. I feel like it would just work as like almost an event kind of thing, right? So like you would go and you'd have a little bit of comedy over here, a little bit of singing and dancing. I feel like it lends itself to kind of live performance kind of thing.
Right.
What shocked me was how they were able to sell it to a movie theater, a movie studio to actually then produce it and film it the same way.
Well, that's
right. It's just
I guess because of the 600 Broadway.
I guess so. Yeah. So, but I just thought that someone would have said, "Wait, this will never work as a movie," but it kind of does. It was kind of interesting.
Well, I think probably the best thing to do with this is just jump in and talk about things we like in it or bits and pieces. But before we do that, I'm not going to try and do a plot, but just as near as I can get, just so we can get it out of the way, is there's a kind of framework of that. There's a theatre projector, right? The movie opens in a projection booth,
right?
And Shemp from the Three Stooges, Shemp Howard, he's the projector. He's the projectionist, right? And he's showing the movie. And then in the movie, Olsen and Johnson appear, and then they start telling the projectionist what to show, right? And then I suppose the thing is that they're trying to get a couple together, basically, right? Yeah. There's a couple they're trying to get together, and then they got to put the show on so that he's successful, so he won't ask him to marry her until he's a success because she's wealthy or something. And then there's another guy and she's betrothed to him. Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. But I just wanted to get that out the way. It's not just blah, blah, blah. There is a kind of thread to follow. Right. Although it doesn't really matter because it is a series of sketches and vignettes and craziness. Gags and musical numbers, as you said. Yeah. Starting off with this one in hell, right? There's lots of devils with pitchforks.
HELLZAPOPPIN.
Yeah, it's quite fun. I like it, and they're putting like men and women in cans, right? Canned guys and gals.
Right, yeah.
And then Olsen and Johnson turn up in hell in a taxi. I guess because the gag is that's the last time I tell a taxi driver where to go.
That's the first time the taxi driver has gone straight to where I told him to go.
Yeah, exactly. And the taxi opens and all these animals run out, and the dwarf is driving the taxi, and then he Johnson or Olsen breathes on the taxi and it blows up.
Something like that.
What the fuck? Yes. Okay, what are some of your... before we jump into it, because I'd quite like to... Did you like this film?
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by it.
I liked it as well, I have to admit.
Yeah.
It could have been irritating and tiresome quite easily.
Yes, it could have been, yeah.
Especially because, as well, our two leads, Olsen and Johnson, aren't necessarily hilarious, right? But... it's not. Somehow
I think it's because they have a cast of other people who are helping to keep it up, right?
Yeah.
So, Martha Ray is quite funny herself, and like a lot of the other people, like definitely, it's like even without Olsen and Johnson, you almost don't matter there. It's like there's so much other stuff happening that it's sort of, I really like some of the recurring bits, that apparently from the original show, like the guy is like trying to deliver the plant.
Mrs. Jones.
Yes. At first he's got his little plant, and as it goes through the movie, he keeps trying to find them. And by the end, he's got this giant tree, and it's grown, or the Oscar, or the lady who was looking for Oscar, and that kind of stuff. And
Stinky Miller.
Yeah.
Go home. Stinky Miller. Caption comes up with Stinky Miller, your mother's calling you. And finally we had this kind of shot where kind of like some little kid stands up in front of the
screen.
screen.
They have like early Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah, there's a lot of fourth screen, fourth wall breaking.
And, talking to the camera and stuff.
And Shem Howard is the camera pans across like a pool or something, and it'll almost stop when there's like a woman in her bikini.
Hey, go over here, over here. Yeah, it's got the
he just
camera.
Stays there.
It keeps going back to the girl. It's like, oh, get over here. Yeah, so a lot of the stuff is stuff I didn't expect to see in a movie from this era. Yeah. I like really like the cheesy, corny like Groner gags like the "Can I take your picture?"
Right.
Oh yeah, sure. And then he goes and he takes the painting off the wall. Like
that's quite good. Yeah, that did make me laugh. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that in there. Also quite good in it is Elisha Cook Jr. is in it, right? Who I always liked in films, and Elisha Cook Jr. always just looked like a bulldog that's been punched or something. He's just always got that sad look. Yeah. So it's really good to see him being funny as well. And he gets the very final gag of the film is it's something straight out of a cartoon where he's been shot several times, and he drinks a glass of water and the water
comes out of him. Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, you've seen it a million times, but it's nice to see a live action version of it, right? Yeah. Like you said, Martha Ray as well is. I suppose she's the other. After Olsen and Johnson, she's kind of the main comic foil, I guess. And
considering Olsen and Johnson aren't that funny, actually, she's the main comic foil. Right?
For me, I'm not actually sure if I find her that funny
she wasn't
either.
That funny, but she was definitely funnier than they were, and definitely she was meant to be the funny one, right? So
you got Misha Auer playing some kind of Eastern European royalty, pretending that he's not Eastern European royalty. And is it just me, or is basically his character Pepe Le Pew?
I guess so. Yeah.
I went so far as to even look it up because I was thinking, well, when was the first Pepe Le Pew cartoon? And apparently it was 4 years after this.
Oh, really?
And he pretty much is exactly like a live action Pepe Le Pew. And he's like all over people. Yeah. And it's. But I looked it up and I didn't find any reference to it. No one ever said, we based this on Michelle. But I was struck by that. I thought, wow, that's very Pepe Le Pew, I thought. He even kind of looks a bit Pepe Le Pew.
Oh, yeah. It didn't occur to me, so.
I mean, great, very early Citizen Kane gag.
With the sledge, the sledgehammer.
I thought they burned it. Same year as the fucking film came out.
Yeah.
I mean... Yeah, and then they mix up film reels with a western, and there's some Indians running through.
Yeah. They go through like several different genre movies.
Yeah, there's an extraordinary sequence. I mean, with these things, usually the musical numbers. I mean, they're fine.
Yeah.
But I'm usually, get that out of the way. The comedy, but there is one quite good sequence with the jazz.
Dancing, the slam dancing. Yeah, it was really amazing. Yeah, basically the crew members, they're meant to be the crew member, like the waiters and the caterers and stuff.
They're all black, right?
Yeah, they're all black, and they kind of like break out into this sort of like slam dancing swing thing, which is like really.
Apparently, it's called Lindy Hop.
Lindy Hop, okay.
They're Whitey's Lindy Hoppers, or as they're called in this film, the Harlem Congaroos.
Okay. Cool.
Well, that's the other interesting thing about this scene as well. Because it starts off basically there's like some servants or like a chef or something, and they pick up an instrument and they start playing, and they go into this kind of jazz rhythm and blues number.
And it gets more and more bigger and bigger, and then just full dancing. And it's quite impressive.
It's
dancing.
really acrobatic, amazing.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about the scene as well, I thought, was it's on the one hand, like if you put that in a movie now, it would automatically be offensive because it's a segregated scene. Right? It's the only time you see any of the black people. Let's put them all in one scene, not have them interact with any white people. But on the other hand, taken in the context of the day, you could argue that they didn't necessarily have to have any black people in it, right? Or they would have had white people in blackface, or So it's a nice showcase,
and to be honest, it was almost like they were putting it up like I kind of read it like from today's perspective that it was almost like these are the people who should be in the movie rather than these talentless white people,
right?
And it's sort of like, and then they go and they do this thing. It's like, actually, we're just the cooks and the caterers and the chefs, whatever, but we're the people that really are the real stars, and we have much more talent than anybody else in this movie. And they do it, and then actually, we got to go back to work, and they said they buttoned it with those people we should put them in the movie, right? Which I guess at the time maybe was a joke.
Yes,
right.
But then again, they kind of fumbled the ball a little bit, because at the very end they all run away scared, which is what all black people always did in these films. They was, no, we
got to get back to work.
And then all the big gag getters, they'd be frightened so much they'd turn white, that kind of thing. Right. So it's an interesting. But I agree with you. It certainly plays like that to a modern audience. Not so much, I wouldn't, in terms of the comedy, but certainly you've had all this kind of very white bread music and light dancing, and there's been a few, and then these fuckers come on and you're like, Jesus, that's how it should be done.
Yeah, exactly, right. So
it's a very interesting scene, very entertaining. That's without doubt the high point when it comes to the dances, and there's loads of people in it. I mean, if you're a vintage movie fan, I mean, I could read out dozens of names. But I'm not going to.
Safe.
Okay, here's the bit of the where I just drone voices out.
It's like an Oscar speech.
Yeah. So, but no, it's just it's really good fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a fun movie. Yeah. So I didn't expect it to be as much fun as it was, but it was definitely took me by surprise. It was just a bunch of, I don't know what's happening, but there's some fun stuff happening. I enjoyed those.
It's funny as well. I was thinking watching it. The one main takeaway I had as well, I was thinking, why don't they make films like this anymore?
I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I didn't think they ever made films like this. I didn't think they, definitely not in the 40s.
Right.
So that's what I was shocked. I was like, really? They actually got this movie? And they don't make movies like that anymore at all, right? I can't think of anything that was like that.
Well, the one thing that sprung to mind, and it's not exactly the same because it's not filled with gags like this, but just in terms of a kind of self-reflective, meta kind of review where you just had different, like, scenes from different genres of films, and it's just... The only thing that sprang to mind was Hail Caesar, the Coen brothers film. It reminded me a little bit of this era of these kind of, not specifically this kind of madcaps or anything, but they did have those kind of movies which were, Hollywood varieties or Stars on Parade, or where they were based around a studio, and then they'd just go there and they'd have a stupid framework for a plot, but it was just an excuse for star cameos and musical scenes and that kind of thing. And I was thinking, it's strange that they don't, because that would work. I think that would still work now. You could still do that. Right? It would kind of be, especially if you did them in this kind of full-on kind of anarchic way as well. I would say audiences have caught up with it rather than the other way around, right? I thoroughly enjoyed HELLZAPOPPIN. So thanks, Gina, for making me watch this again, because I might not have got around to it. Yes, as I explained.
Okay, I was listening.
It works if you listen.
It's overrated.
Yes. So, but again, I was shocked all over again, right? Because I was kind of aware.
Did you review this in your book?
I don't think I did. I think it was one of the reviews that got cut, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think because it was there was a handful of reviews in my... Most of them the reviews were written immediately after I saw the film. But when I first started writing reviews, because I didn't have so much, I'm going to start reviews from now on. So I'd watch film, read reviews. But then for a while I was writing some films that I'd seen earlier from memory, but then when it came around to the publishing of the book, because there were too many reviews in the book anyway, I decided to excise most of the ones were things that I'd written from memory, because to be honest I'd wanted to watch them again, and then so I didn't make it in, but I'd always remembered seeing it and being impressed, but I was impressed all over again, I was so this is a strong recommendation, I think, from both Ron and myself. Any more to say about this one?
No, I think that's about it. Yeah.
Okay. Stinky Miller, go home. While Stinky's on his way home, we shall move on to the companion piece then.
On the other hand...
Okay, interesting. So the HELLZAPOPPIN had a sequel.
Yes.
Called Crazy House from a couple of years later in 1943. Again, Olsen and Johnson. And this is a bit more plot heavy. I mean, plot heavy isn't quite the right. Yeah. It's still a parade of stuff, right? But the way it kicks off that Olsen and Johnson, those sons of fun, are returning to Hollywood and to the Universal lot to make a follow-up to HELLZAPOPPIN, which is greeted with panic, right? Mm-hmm. Basically, everyone's like, Olsen and Johnson are going, woo! And there's this whole long scene of like people stampeding, and even the studio doesn't let them in. There's like a shootout, right, until they're let in eventually, and they don't want. I guess they're too anarchic to handle or something. Even though HELLZAPOPPIN was a big hit on Broadway and the film, and so you're getting even more meta in a way here, right? But they don't get to make their film, so they decide to make their own independent picture, which they can then sell back to the studio and make their money. But they make the mistake of borrowing money from a crazy man, basically, who they think is a wealthy kind of stock trader or something, played by Percy Gilbride, who isn't at all. He's just a crazy man, apparently. And so basically it's them trying to make an independent hit while other people try and stop them from making that independent hit, right? And there's the usual, there's a little bit of romance, and there's some musical numbers, and gags aplenty. But I'm sensing here, Ron, that you weren't too keen on
this. Was much worse the other way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought this was just a boring pile of crap.
Oh, really?
I was shocked that it was a follow-up to that movie.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was bored to tears. It was a grind to get through this one.
That's interesting, because that is the from what I gather as well, that is the kind of consensus opinion on this one. HELLZAPOPPIN was great fun. Yeah. The sequel was terrible, right?
I'm guessing that you didn't agree.
That's what I expected to find, and it's certainly not on the same level as HELLZAPOPPIN, I put it that way. But I had some fun with this one.
I was just like, meh.
Really?
I thought it was just really long and drawn.
Same length as HELLZAPOPPIN.
There wasn't enough gags. I think it was too.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think there was enough gags, and also the musical numbers were really boring.
And there's no Lindy Hoppers in this one.
Well, not even that, but it was just like ballroom dancing and like, oh God, come on! Like I was almost.
Yes, that's true.
I was really there's like. Half of the movie is just like boring dancing. And
I would, especially the front end, I think was more boring, and it's you're quite right. It's certainly much more diluted, isn't it? It's much more diluted. But I mean, there are. I mean, Shemp Howard has a good part in this. He's the guy who keeps offering to sell people things with gags. Remember this? What is it? I can't remember any of them now. He's like, do you want to buy a... And then there's a kind of gag, right? And they're not the strongest gags in the world, but he's consistent, right? He comes in and...
I mean, there was some...
Do you want to buy a beehive? You won't get stung. That kind of thing,
And I mean, there was some okay gags in there, but it wasn't as anywhere near as enjoyable as the first one, and it was sort of like
I would agree.
And there was I laughed out loud at HELLZAPOPPIN a couple times, and didn't laugh out loud at all at this one. I was just kind of like, kept checking my watch, and I was like, okay. Let's go here. So and the whole this one had a whole sequence around like a mistaken identity with the actress. They try to get the actress
Cass Daly.
Yeah, Cass Daly, and then they try to get her. But by accident, they end up signing her
her stand-in.
Her stand-in.
Also played by Cass Daly.
Yeah. With kind of like, I don't know, with the fake teeth, or were those her real teeth? I don't know. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it looked like she looked ever so slightly different.
Anyway, so so she had like her stunt double, and then the stunt or the stand-in tried to like hold them legally to making her be in the movie, but they didn't want her, and so then there's a whole thing where. And then the Cass Daly ended up finding out that they were mean to her, so Cass Daly went and did it anyway. And I don't know, I mean, I like mistaken identities and farces and stuff like that, but this one was just sort of like, felt a bit like too much. It was too drawn out, and it was just sort of like, I don't know, I didn't think that it was played for enough laughs and stuff like that. I was very disappointed in this one.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can see where you're coming from, but I laughed enough for it to for to me have overall enjoyed it.
Right.
I think, like I said, I enjoyed Shemp stuff. So, what did you think of? Because you seemed more or less favourable about Martha Ray in the HELLZAPOPPIN. What did you make of Cass Daly? Because she seems to operate in a slightly similar territory of tomboyish kind of.
She definitely had the funny thing. I think probably Martha Ray had better stuff to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think Martha Ray also didn't have to carry so much because there was so much other stuff happening in book HELLZAPOPPIN that she did her thing and it was fine. It was sort of like a one-off, or it wasn't a one-off, but like it stood alone and she didn't have to carry the movie.
Right.
Whereas it felt like Cass Daly almost had to carry the movie because I mean Olsen and Johnson don't really do anything that's worthwhile, right? And there wasn't as much of these like kind of like recurring sight gags, and Shemp a little bit, but there wasn't as much as the other stuff. So it was almost like Cass Daly. It was almost carrying the movie on her own.
This doesn't have
it wasn't enough. It didn't
frenzied
have
pace.
Yeah, it didn't have. It was a little bit too. Yeah.
The other thing as well is it relies on a certain extent to because they use all these universal stars, right? So you have all these cameos and things, but the thing is, they mean very little to most modern audiences as well.
Of course, all these in jokes.
You don't even notice, like they have. Now there's Alan Jones. Alan Jones get up and sings, and I'm thinking, who the fuck is Alan Jones? Right. And I'm someone who's relatively well versed in vintage. No? Yeah. Like I knew Johnny Mac Brown, the Western stars in it, and the one I really stood out. There's a scene where it's Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce playing Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, right? Uh-huh. And I love I don't know if you've ever watched the Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce series of. No. Fucking great. I'd love to do them on the show actually. But the thing is, it's not fun. Basically, it suddenly cuts to Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce as Holmes and Watson, and then one of them just says something like, "Oh, what is this movie we are doing, Holmes?" And then Holmes just goes, "Oh well, I'm the great detective." And then it ends. It's like 10 seconds long. There's no gag in it. The only gag is, "Oh look, yeah, it's them two." Yeah. It's weak. It's crap. Like I'm just trying to think.
What's this from?
This is from Crazy.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. That's my point. Is
I see.
If you don't know,
right? Yeah.
Then it means nothing at all. Right. But I'm just saying, even if you know them, that particular gag is weak. Yeah. So I'm just wondering if all the other ones are just as like Johnny Mac Brown as well. He just rides his horse and goes, and the only gag is it's Johnny Mac Brown.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I felt like HELLZAPOPPIN had like 2 or 3 years of runs in a live theater, and with to really kind of work out the kinks and to work out. They really picked the gems, the ones that really stood out, the ones that were like that worked the best, right? Because they had the benefit of actually basically workshopping them in front of a live audience to know what works and what doesn't and what really gets a laugh and stuff like that. Right. This one seemed like it was basically like a first draft almost, like that. They didn't have the same thing. They were just basically writing it what they thought were funny, but they didn't have the benefit of the workshopping in front of a live audience, so they were just kind of guessing what people actually liked, and they were trying to, but most of it wasn't, right? So
Right. And I suppose it's kind of strange as well when you consider as well the way the film opens as well. It's almost like oh, here we come, we're crazy.
Yeah.
But then
they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, I wish you were that crazy.
Yeah.
But apart from a few bits here and there. Oh no, well actually, yes. Apart from one thing that did impress me was the ending.
Okay.
Do you remember? Do you recall the ending?
Remind me.
So basically, you have when all this nonsense is going on. There's Martha O'Driscoll as the car hop turned singer, right? The girl they discover,
right? Yeah.
And her romance with Patrick Knowles, who plays the director who directs the film, the kind of Errol Flynn looking guy with a moustache. So throughout the whole movie, there's a will they, won't they kind of romance blossoming, right? And at the very, very end of the film, and I would forgive you for having missed this because it is in the last few seconds, and if you had phased out and you were bored, you might have missed it, right? I almost missed it, but right at the very end of the film, where everything's a success and the film's going to be a hit and everything, and then they're about to go, and here's and they introduce the guy and the girl, and they're just to come on stage, and now obviously they've fallen in love, they've overcome their differences, and suddenly, I can't remember if it's either Olsen or Johnson, shoots them dead, and then says, "There's going to be no happy ending for this movie."
Oh yeah, I remember
the
that.
end,
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, fuck, okay, that's fair play. That's especially for 1943.
Right,
you basically kill your two lovebirds,
right,
and then say there's no happy ending. I thought that was a genuine bit of kind of anarchism, right? Just there at the very end.
I thought it was. I can see that, but I got the impression it was more of a grab at anarchism rather than actual anarchism itself, right?
Yeah, but it's pretty strong though.
Yeah, but it didn't have, but it wasn't a gag. It was, I didn't think it was funny that much. I was like,
I see what you mean. It's more shocking or
it's more of a shock than it was a fun, right?
But
like a gag.
That impressed me that they at least did that. But you may be right. It's too little, too late. But yeah. So it certainly doesn't. It doesn't stand up alongside HELLZAPOPPIN.
No,
that's for sure.
Sure, yeah.
But I found it worthwhile for some of the gags that were there. It certainly hasn't put me off. I mean, it's made me curious to check out some more Olsen and Johnson, just to find out if HELLZAPOPPIN was kind of a one-off or not.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I'd be quite interested to see,
but
not them, just the stuff around them.
I would venture to guess that it was HELLZAPOPPIN was their magnum opus, and I think it was because again, I don't know much about them. Maybe Gino can tell us, but I get the impression that these guys were probably from live theater and had made this show, this kind of variety show, and kind of put it together, and then it kind of changed and adapted over the years in front of live audiences. Oh, that one doesn't work. That does work. They changed that, and then they had this sort of like thing that was like exactly what the audiences wanted, right? Because it was just tweaked and changed and workshopped, and then but. Because I don't think they did that for every show, every movie, right? So and then they decide, okay, great, this perfect thing, let's go put it in a movie. Okay, great, it's the way it is. But then they tried to redo that same kind of thing, but they don't have the benefit of the workshop.
Yes, it's the equivalent of someone later in life writing their first novel, and it's everything they've always wanted. So it's just mind blowing.
And then trying to do it again,
and it doesn't work.
They get nothing, right? So
well, I mean, I can certainly, just on the basis of these two films that. But like we said, they did have this whole other career. They were in other movies, so that's why I'm kind of interested to find out, because especially, just let's not these kind of big kind of all-star vehicles, but just an Olsen and Johnson film when it's just the two of them. I can't imagine me enjoying that much because they're not very funny.
Right.
But because I'm. Curiously masochistic, I suppose. I am slightly. I certainly will try and check that out at some point just to see how it plays. So the Count Basie Orchestra are in it as well. I suppose Count Basie fans should know. So that's about it, is it? I think for
just as a sort of a. Dark ending to this.
Okay.
I was just looking. We were talking about all of the women that died around Wheeler and Woolsey.
Those two murderers, Wheeler and Woolsey.
Yeah. So I just found out that Cass Daly actually died. She fell onto broken glass and it sliced her jugular vein.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's how she died. She was 59.
Nice.
So it's not just the Woolsey. Apparently, it's any women who are starring with a comedy duo in the 30s and 40s. Apparently, all died from these horrible.
I suspect Wheeler and Woolsey were involved. Were they seen in the area? We need to know.
Horrible, violent deaths for all these women, these leading comedians.
Even McCullough's death in the barbershop. Were Wheeler and Woolsey in the back room? Yeah. So anyway, if we are done with that, I would like to get on to my so exciting announcement that actually isn't really that exciting.
Okay.
It seems... Anyway, this is my thought, Ron.
Uh-huh.
So usually what we do is one of us chooses a film, the other one chooses the companion piece, usually kind of thematically, or there's got to be some fairly strong link between the two. Right. So I would like to add, because I was trying to get some kind of organic algorithm going, if that's the correct way to put it. I propose a new way of doing things, and I was wondering, I mean, you might not agree, but so basically the same thing. So let's say, for example, Ron chooses the film, Clive chooses the companion piece, and the next show is Clive chooses the... Right. So what I would like to do is to make a very, 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 very vague link between the last film of the previous show and the first film of the next show.
Okay.
So it wouldn't have to be a strong one, but in the case of... So we could start with, so let's say Crazy House, and the next choice is mine, right? I haven't chosen what it's going to be yet, but my choice is going to have to be, I don't know, a film about making a film, or a comedy, or something really hardly any link at all.
Also a movie.
Yeah, that'll do. Almost to that point, because I don't want it to be as strong as the link between the two shows.
Right.
But just to see if it creates some kind of...
Sure.
And takes us in some areas we might not otherwise... Because I've got plenty of films I could choose, but I'd like to be swept away to a certain extent, surprise myself, and, What do you think? Do you like this idea?
Sure.
Okay, we'll try it.
I'll do it.
And every now and again, I mean, if suddenly there's a film either you or me just really want to talk about because we've either just seen it, we can fuck it and just do that as well.
I'm sure any movie you can find a vague link to any other movie.
Well, yeah,
I think you could find anything.
Yeah, but
make a link.
It'll just kind of slightly shape the Yeah. So should we try it?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So the next choice is mine. I haven't chosen it yet, but I'll try and somehow link it to Crazy House.
Okay.
In that case.
And wait. Keep listening into space for what that movie will be.
Yeah. Oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Bated breath. What's that now? Are you miming that I should stop the tape?
Yes.
It's funny. Okay. I'll do that now. All right. Do it again. Okay.
And at the beginning of the next episode, I say patient, right?
All right. Okay. Go. Yeah.
Anticipate.
I'll press the button.
Okay.
Now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that. So this is the way.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Right.
Ready? And no, I lost it. What was I saying then? Anticipate. And then that's where you push it.
I think we have to rethink.
Okay. Fuck it.
I got high last night on LSD. My mind was beautiful, and I was free. Warts love my nipples because they are pink. Vomit on me, baby, yeah. A blind man's penis is a wreck because he is blind. It's a wreck because he is blind. A blind man's penis is a wreck because he's blind. It's a wreck because he's blind. Let's make love under the stars and watch for UFOs. If little baby Martians come out of the UFOs, we fuck them, yeah. The zebra spilled his plastic on Venus, and the gelatin fingers oozed electric marbles. on his titties, died in hell, and the Nazis want to kill everyone. A blind man's penis is a wreck 'cause he's blind.